He's poor. He has nothing in his life. And he also gets diseases. He also has cancer or tuberculosis. Something like that, you know. And he's laying in the hospital bed. And, you know, and he's complaining. You tell him the hadith. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kala. Ad-dunya sijnu mu'min wa jannatul kafir. You tell him, Prophet Muhammad said, that this material world is the only paradise for you guys, but it's the prison for the Muslims, the believers. And he's going to say, oh yeah? Oh yeah? Hey, what about me? Look at the condition I'm in. See how bad off I am? And I don't believe what you believe, so that disproves your theory. You forgot. I just told you when we started the program, didn't I? That 1 second in the hellfire will wipe out any good you ever saw in this life. So by contrast and comparison, the guy in the hellfire for 1 second will look back on the worst condition in this life and go, hey man, that was heaven. That was paradise. That was Jannah. Huh? Amazing, isn't it? For us living in this life, it's sometimes difficult to keep it in perspective, to remember that this really isn't our ultimate resting place. We're not going to stay here. You're not going to keep continuing here. It seems like it. For you woke up yesterday, you woke up today. Good chance you'll wake up tomorrow, but Allahu Alam. We just keep waking up so we keep going on. We do whatever we do. I got away with it today. Let's do it again. Another day opens up for you. Hey, here we go again. The first year of your life was 365 days. If you use the sun calendar, 354. If you use the moon calendar, it doesn't really matter. You don't remember it. I don't remember it. First year, nobody remembers. Second year, you stagger around, fall over the coffee table, stuff like that. Everybody says how cute you are. Third year, you learn how to talk. Fourth year, they wish they had never taught you. You know how it goes. Fifth year, you go into school, and then the world really starts opening up to you. And you're like, wow, look at all this stuff going on. Oh man, school, that's an amazing thing. I hate it. And then, sometimes. And sixth grade, all the way from the first to the sixth grade, we used to call it elementary school, the beginning, or primary school. And you meet friends, you start learning about other things. But all along the way, you never, ever for 1 second think about, one day I may wake up dead. In other words, not wake up at all. It doesn't enter your mind. You go through the middle school, you go into the high school, and somewhere along there, now somebody dies. Your aunt dies. Your grandmother dies. Some teacher you know died. Somebody died. Somebody you knew their name or you knew something about them. They died. Now you're like, huh. So we're not going to see them anymore. Nope. They're gone. Well, there's still lots of other people around. Or maybe somebody really close to you dies. And it makes you think. But still, you move on. And this continues on through your life. Now, as you get older, you start thinking a little bit more about it because more and more of the people you know die. Until you get around 80 or 90, and then almost everybody you used to know is dead. Then maybe you start thinking, hey, that could be me next. But in reality, it could be any one of us at any time. Isn't that right? Is there any guarantee you're going to go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow morning? Not really. Is there any guarantee that you will eventually die? Think about that one. We don't really think of that one, do we? That's the only most obvious fact of life is death, and we never think about it. Almost never. But it's the most obvious fact. As soon as you're born, you're going closer and closer to the day you die. That's all the more reason why you shouldn't celebrate a birthday. It's just got closer to dying. Think about it. What are you celebrating? Happy birthday to you! You're another year closer to being dead. You. Scary, isn't it? Any one of us. And I've seen it happen. I remember one time talking about the subject, about death and dying. And the next morning in the newspaper, as I was flying out, it was mentioned a story, it was in Trinidad, that a lady had come to the speech that night. She had asked her son to go with her. It was in the paper. He said, nah, I want to stay with my friends. She got a phone call at the venue, at the place, telling her to get home. Something's happened to your son. He's like 20 years old, okay? She came home. He's laying on the kitchen floor dead. Huh. Now, aren't you glad you came to my speech tonight? But it makes you think. The one thing that we know is going to happen, regardless, you don't have to be a Muslim to figure it out. You don't have to be a Christian. An atheist, anybody has got to come to grips the conclusion, you're going to die. I'm going to die. Now in the Bible, I found a passage. It was a real popular one. We used to use it all the time. But we didn't really think about it when we said it. We really didn't. Never tried to analyze it, because a lot of stuff, when you're a Christian, you just say what everybody else says and go along with it. And it's fun, sort of. But it says in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him will not die, but they're going to live forever. Everlasting life. That's what it says. In the church that I went to at that time, the preacher used to tell us, because you would ask him, but you mean really don't die? He said, yeah. If you really, really believe when the rapture comes, you're going to be picked up and carried up into heaven, and you won't have to go through the experience of dying. That sounds good. That sounds really good. I mean, and there's people who believe it. Not a lot, but there are some. But if you read the same book, the same exact book, it tells them that Jesus died. So evidently he didn't believe it. And I never caught that one. I also didn't catch the fact that for the last 2,000 years everybody preached he died. So they must not have believed it either. Actually, I'm sure it didn't mean literally what it said. Obviously not. Jesus wouldn't have said something like that anyway. But what did Allah say clearly in the Quran? Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Every soul will taste death. So let's talk about that. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he told us about what's going to happen in the very end days of this earth. He talked about the earthquakes. He talked about the signs that would come. He even talked about what's going to happen in Mecca, about the destruction of the Kaaba. He told us of some of the big upheavals in the earth itself. Mountains coming down like carded wool. That's in the Quran. Many of the things that are going to take place in the very last days are very scary. But then eventually there won't be anybody left. And after the last human being dies, when there's nobody left at all, there's still angels. And that's when the Lord is going to tell the angel of death to go to the angels and to begin to take their souls from them. The angel of death will begin removing the souls of the angels, until the only one left is the archangel, the Holy Spirit, Ruh Qudus.